Are you having trouble with your programming for your bodybuilding slash powerlifting slash power building program you're trying to figure out? Maybe you're relatively new. You're trying to figure out what you should do in the gym. Well, look no further. I have a 3-day template that I'm going to personally start running. Not, it's a bit different than what I've been doing, similar, but like higher rep kind of stuff. So I'm going to go into it right now. I apologize for the terrible lighting. It's just the way this room is. It's a dungeon. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm Max with Max Performance. Let's get into it. So, very high level, this 3-day program, it's like a 3-day power building type program because I'm going to use relatively low rep ranges and then like relatively high rep ranges, getting up to like the 8 to 10 rep range for some exercises. So for me, I'd say that's relatively high rep because if you're doing heavy compound movements, doing a heavy compound movement for 8 to 10 reps can be pretty debilitating and pretty taxing. So it's a 3-day kind of split that's not really centered on muscles like body parts, but it's centered on actual lifts. So the first day, again, we'll keep it pretty high level. That's pretty good. First day, I have a high bar squat movement mixed with a flat bench press movement. So those are my 2 compound exercises that day. I might add some accessory work after that if I have time. Like, time is of the essence when I'm in the gym because I work and I need to get home and I have a daughter, and I don't want my wife watching her all day all the time. So anyways, obviously time is important. So I'm going to do high bar squat, flat bench press first day. Second day is going to be high bar squat, conventional deadlift. Third day is going to be flat bench press and push press. And again, I will do accessory exercises as needed and as possible with the time I have. Ideally, I'm going to hit a back exercise every day, 1 to 2 if possible, and then I try to throw in triceps. And on the second day, when I'm squatting and deadlifting, I really want to try to put in some hyperextensions to work on my lockout. It's always been a really weak point of my deadlift. It's just I have such a problem with it. Anyway, so that's kind of the program. Now let's get a little more granular. So day 1, it's a high bar squat, and we're going to run the juggernaut method, starting with 8s. Typically, the program starts with 10s. I have not been doing high reps in a while, so I'm starting with 8s just because that's hard enough for me. So if you don't know what the juggernaut method is, just look it up. It's a program written by Chad Wesley Smith. Pretty much you do 4 weeks of 10s, 4 weeks of 8s, 4 weeks of 5s, and 4 weeks of 3s, I believe it is. So it's a 16-week program where you're pretty much going from super high volume, low intensity to lower volume, higher intensity. You're just trying to add weight to the bar. And AMRAPs are built into it. It's a pretty slick program. I really like it. Very basic kind of linear periodization over the weeks, like each block is, increasing intensity and lowering volume. So it's pretty easy to follow. Great program for beginners even because it does throw an AMRAP so you can get a good sense of where you're at based on those AMRAP sets and kind of how it relates to your 1 rep max using a 1 rep max calculator. So if you're a beginner, Juggernaut, great program to run, especially if you're going to like the higher rep ranges, you really get a lot of good technical practice, get a lot of good hypertrophy stimulus to put on muscle. It's a good way to go. So if you're a beginner, Juggernaut method, check it out. You could search it on Google. Google image will come up with the basic program. And then from there, you plug numbers in. If you need help with that, let me know in the comments. I could probably help you out. Pretty simple. But anyway, so high bar squat first day with the juggernaut method. And I'm going to do flat bench press with my regular grip. And I'm going to kind of auto-regulate some heavy sets in. I don't want to push it too hard, but I do want to touch something that's relatively heavy, like 80%, of my 1 rep max plus. And then after that, I'm going to back off and do 5-3-1 back off. And those for 5-3-1, again, you can look up the program online just to get percentages, but that's based on my training max of 90%. In fact, it's more like 85% because I was pretty conservative just because I didn't want to start too heavy, which Jim Wendler's, the writer of 5-3-1, is a big proponent of. So I'm going to back off with 5-3-1 with like relatively light sets just to build up some really good bench volume. Because before this, probably the last few months, I've been doing a ton of kind of higher intensity with much lower volume. So I'm going to try to beef up the volume a bit to get some more practice in and kind of see how it translates to the lifts. So anyways, that's day 1. Day 2 is high bar squat. And again, it's heavy sets and then 5-3-1 back off, similar to what I'm doing on bench the first day. Again, I want to touch some relatively heavy weight, but I also want to get some good lighter kind of back off sets in just to get some technical practice. Conventional deadlift, I'm going to do the same approach on that. I'm not going to use juggernaut for conventional deadlift. I'm going to go heavy sets and then back off with 5-3-1. And again, look up 5-3-1. It's basically like you warm up to a heavy AMRAP set, and then from there I do last set or first set last, where I do like 3 to 5 reps of 3 to 5 sets of 5 to 8 reps at like 65, 75, or trying to think like 80 or something, depending on the percentages. You can base it off of, weeks 1 through 3 of the 5-3-1 program. So I'm doing that on the second day, and then the third day I'm doing close grip flat bench using juggernaut, and I'm just going to touch and go that, and then push press I'm going to do heavy sets plus 5-3-1 back off. So as you can see, it's really just a mix of juggernaut and 5-3-1. Those are 2 programs I've ran in the past, and both I have found awesome success running them, and I really like how they, the periodization is built in, where you're going from low intensity, high volume to high intensity, low volume. Very easy. It's not like Shaco where it's just like it's a move, you don't really know what's going on behind the programming. This is very simple and effective, so look into it. Juggernaut method and 5-3-1, 2 great programs if you're a beginner or intermediate or even a little more advanced, because you do have those AMRAP sets where you can kind of judge your performance and see where you're at. So highly recommend that. Aside from that, kind of the thinking behind the programming, I obviously have 2 bench days, 2 squat days, and 1 deadlift day, and 1 push press day. And just the reasoning behind that is my bench and squat, typically I need a little more volume and stimulus to keep those kind of exercises at maintenance. Although sometimes I think I push it a little too hard, but we'll see how this goes. And then push press, I do not really prioritize it as much. It's a newer exercise that I have not consistently done in a long time. So just 1 day a week seems to be getting me pretty good stimulus on that. And then deadlift, again, geez, this lighting's so bad. Deadlift, I can only deadlift so much before I just like run myself into the ground. So 1 day a week is for sure good on deadlift. And those back off sets, the 5-3-1 back off sets, I'm going to take those pretty darn light and really work on my lockout, really work on trying to get my hips through. So it's kind of the reasoning behind that. And the heavy sets are kind of peppered in, again, just so I can keep that kind of top end strength. Obviously, I'm not going to be like peak top end strength, but me personally, it's good to stay comfortable with like 80, 85, 90% of my 1 rep max. Just to add some fun into the training also. Not to mention, if I do a really heavy set and I back off, like with my 5-3-1 back off, that heavy set kind of like sets me up for these sets to be super easy. Like it makes the back off sets way easier. So that's kind of the reasoning. Anyways, try out this program. Let me know in the comments what you think. Pretty simple. I'm going to try to hit the AMRAPs hard and see if that can translate to a higher 1 rep max, using the calculator, and just keep pushing the envelope. So please like, comment, subscribe. Hope you like the video. Catch you in the next one. Bye.